Well, scholars, it has been a long and tumultuous 16 weeks. I'm so glad that you went on this journey with me and learned all about the history of the United States from the Reconstruction till the present day. Just before you go, just wanted to remind you of a couple things. If you don't pull a lot away from my class, just remember, three important factors that you can pull from to not just this class, but like any other history class as well too. Just remember, one, history is always changing, and we need to make sure that we are aware of that. So the idea of the revisionist history we talked about, where someone comes through and they reevaluate what they think happened, or maybe change their narrative a little bit of what they think how it should have happened. We need to keep that in mind and keep updated as well too, because history is not stagnant. We're always finding new things, and we're always developing new theories about things. We're detectives above all. That's number two. Remember, you're always trying to find all the information you can and piece it together. And that's, history is important to do that for, but just life in general too. When you are dealing with a situation, find as much intel as you can and then process it the best of your ability. You're not always going to have all the answers in front of you, so you just got to make do with what you do have. And eventually it will change, especially with history always changing itself. Remember, always perception is what matters normally. And so that's good, and sometimes that's bad. Just because something feels right to you, it usually doesn't mean that it'll affect the outcome of historical significance. So, and also with that being said, history itself is written by people. People are fallible. People make mistakes. We have to keep that in mind too when we evaluate history. So the perception that they give is usually what we go with, and how the collective minds of Americans or historians in general usually come together to create a perception of what really happened. So keep that in mind, that it may not actually be what happened, but it was perceived to have happened is usually what is written down. So, and also remember, lastly, just that history is a formula, and that we can kind of see the equation, if you will, if A happens and then B happens, and C most likely will happen too. So I'm not a math guy, I won't pretend to be, but there's a little bit of mathematics involved, almost like an algebraic equation, when we look at history. So again, thank you so much for being part of this class. A couple things. Remember, one, discussion question. The last one, just got to respond to it. I get that done ASAP. Just get it out of the way. Two, we got to make sure that we have our final projects in. I would say upload them to YouTube. Send me the file on Blackboard, or you can even send me a hard copy via a flash drive or something. And then also, lastly, the final exam will be in class, and we're going to do that from the terminals in class as well too. So remember, you'll have 3 of the 4 questions you'll have to answer. So if there's any questions, and I'm sure I'll get a few, be patient with me, contact me via email, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. If you do have any, contact me. Otherwise, have a great week, and we'll see you on Thursday.